Hello students. So last time we had discussed about the chapter number 2, that is work, energy and power. Today we are going to start the next chapter, that is machines. So first thing we need to understand about the one term, that is machine. What do you mean by a machine? A device, any kind of a mechanism, any kind of a process through which we can transform the input energy in some kind of a mechanical output. So that is called a machine. Means any kind of a device, any kind of a simplest instrument, any kind of a thing which takes input energy and gives some kind of mechanical output. That is called a machine. So machine is a simple device. If I say this is a machine, it takes energy, or we can say efforts, mechanical energy, we should say mechanical energy. Right now we are talking about just normal machines, not any kind of electronic device. So it takes mechanical energy as input, or efforts we can say as input, and gives some kind of mechanical output. Mechanical work as output. Right? Mechanical work means whenever we talk about work, there must be a force and displacement. So force in which we are taking as an output force, it is called simply load. It is called load. As input force is called effort. So keep this thing in mind. If we are trying to define effort, it is some kind of an input force, right? And if we talk about the load, it is some kind of an output force. Okay, so input force is simply called effort and output force is simply called load. Let me tell you with an example. Let's talk about levers, and I hope you have gone through the notes provided, the presentation which I have provided last time, that the meaning of levers: a simplest rod which can rotate about a point. That point is called fulcrum, not pilot point. Actually in earlier we were used to call it pilot point, and at that time I have told you that in future we will call it fulcrum. So fulcrum, about it can rotate, and with the help of this rod we are trying to lift this weight. So this time we are just supposed to overcome the weight by applying a force in downward direction. So it's some kind of an input force. So this input force will be called effort, and we are lifting this weight. So it is some kind of an output force which we desire to overcome. So basically this will be called load. So a machine takes efforts as input and gives a mechanical work or load as output. So that is a machine. That mechanism is called a machine. So a few basic properties are there for machine, that what is the meaning of effort, what is the meaning of load, we have discussed it already. Another thing is, what do you mean by mechanical advantage? What do you mean by velocity ratio and efficiency? Efficiency we have discussed it already in the previous chapter. The major concerns are two. First, the mechanical advantage, and the second is velocity ratio. So for that I will take an example of hydraulic lift. So from that, it's a kind of a machine, hydraulic lift, through which we can lift heavier weights. Like car jack is a basic principle of a car jack is a hydraulic lift. So basically right now we are talking about that how can we define mechanical advantage as well as velocity ratio with the help of a hydraulic lift. Okay. So let's talk about a hydraulic lift. A hydraulic lift is basically works on the Pascal's law, in which liquid exerts equal pressure in all directions. So I have taken an example, something related to hydraulic lift. So we have connected two syringe system. We are talking about two syringe system in which we have connected two syringes with a common pipe, and one syringe having a lower area of cross section, another is having greater area of cross section. Let's say its area of cross section as A2 and its area of cross section as A1. We know it very well. Liquid will exert equal pressure in all directions. So if we try to exert a force, let's call that force as input force, or we are calling it input. So we will call it input force as effort. and this output force we will call it as load. So input we are representing it by E and we are representing load by L. So basically a liquid exerts equal pressure in all directions. So with the help of Pascal's law we can say it means P1 must be equal to P2. We are talking about a common liquid system. So P1 is thrust upon area or input force upon area right now. So input force is E upon area A1 equals to output force L upon area A2, or we can say L upon E equals to A2 upon A1. Right now we can see clearly that A2 is greater than A1. So if A2 is greater than A1, so ultimately since A2 is greater than A1 for hydraulic lifts, so ultimately we can say load will be greater than effort, means you can lift greater load by applying smaller efforts, right? So it's some kind of a machine which takes some input energy or force and gives it some kind of mechanical output. Okay, now the question arises, how can we utilize this entire example for defining mechanical advantage, for defining velocity ratio? So let me tell you what is the meaning of basically mechanical advantage. So mechanical advantage, if you go through the definition, mechanical advantage is a ratio of load and effort. But if we go simply by a simple understanding that advantage means some kind of a profit and mechanical advantage means we are in some kind of a mechanical profit. So what is the meaning of mechanical profit? Simply we need to apply less and less efforts to get greater output or to get or to lift greater load. So that is a kind of mechanical advantage. Mechanical profit is that you are applying just a force of 10 kgf. You are applying a force of 100 Newton and you are lifting 200, 300 Newton. So input force is simply lesser than the output force. So it's a kind of an advantage. That's why the mechanical advantage is represented by MA simply, and it is the ratio of load lifted upon efforts applied. Load upon effort, or we can simply call it MA equals to L upon E. From this we can see right now we are in mechanical advantage because we have proved it. If the output area of cross section, output tube's area of cross section is greater than the input tube's area of cross section, so ultimately we will get L greater than E. So right now we are in mechanical advantage. So if L is greater than E, so ultimately you will get answer greater than 1. If the mathematical value of load is greater than mathematical value of effort, numerator is greater than denominator, at that time mechanical advantage will be greater than 1. So right now for hydraulic lifts we are in mechanical advantage which is actually greater than 1. And if we take just equal area of cross section tubes, so at that time if A2 and A1 are equal, A2 and A1 are equal, then L equals to E. So it means you have to apply the equal effort as the amount of load you want to lift up. So simply if you want to lift 10 kg of weights, you have to apply a force of 10 kg. So same. So in that case, if the second case, this is the first case, the second case we can say if L equals to E, in that case mechanical advantage would be 1. Second special case, and what do you think about third special case? That is not a some kind of mechanical advantage, that is a disadvantage, because in that third case if we switch back the scenario, means if we swap the scenario, if we are trying to make it effort arm and we are trying to make it load arm, so in that case you have to apply greater effort to lift a smaller load. So you will see one thing here, if load is less than effort, it is lesser than effort. So in that case mechanical advantage, denominator is greater than numerator, so it is or it will become less than 1. So you are not in actually advantage. Okay, you may copy this thing also by pausing the video. But now let's talk about we have discussed the mechanical advantage in these three special cases of this. Now let me tell you why do we need this kind of output. There you can understand that sometimes we need this kind of output. It means it's like physical balance. It's a machine in which we need to balance. So the input and the output, that they must be equal. So at that time you can need that kind of mechanical advantage, no problem is there. But when do we need this kind of output? Means we need to apply greater efforts to get a smaller output or smaller to lift up a smaller load. Is it true? So let's take an example for this. You will soon realize that if mechanical advantage greater than 1, we call it that kind of a machine which follows this condition. That kind of a machine is actually called force multiplier, because we are actually increasing the output or we are increasing our efforts to get a higher output. So it will be called force multiplier, right? So what is the purpose of this third condition? Let's talk about this. Keep this in mind. Whenever you are getting mechanical advantage greater than 1, such kind of devices are called force multipliers. Okay. Now let's talk about the distance traveled by these tubes. So suppose this tube has been compressed up to this level. It has been compressed up to this level. So ultimately you are compressing it in downward direction. So it has been compressed by a, let's say, dE, displacement taken by effort arm. Okay, and obviously it will come out. So it has come out by this level. Let's say it has traveled a displacement of dL. So dE is distance traveled or displacement by effort arm, we can simply say, and dL is distance traveled by load arm. So basically, let's try about one thing, that the liquid is not actually going to come out through this system. It will remain inside the system. So the volume compressed by this tube must be equal to the volume of the liquid which is expanded by this tube. Simply because the liquid is being transferred from this tube to that tube, P1 to P2. So the volume compressed by effort arm, it must be equal to the volume expanded by the load arm. Let's say VE is volume displaced by volume of the liquid, volume displaced by effort arm, and Vn is volume occupied by, or we can say volume displaced, we can again say volume displaced by load arm. They must be equal because the liquid is not going to come out through the system. So we can simply say VL must be equal to VE. Let's follow this thing. Volume is, for a tube, a cylindrical tube, volume is distance or the length of the tube and area of cross section A into L. We know it very well. So in that case, the volume displaced we are talking about. So length is DE, area is A1. So VE is actually DE into A1, as well as VL is DL into A2. DL into A2. Keep this thing in your mind because I am going to use this format which we have derived for the hydraulic lifts. So if I go through this, let's find out A2 upon A1 from this function. A2 upon A1, it will become DE upon DL. DE upon DL, and actually A2 upon A1 is L upon E, load upon effort. Load upon effort. L upon E, and L upon E is actually, we have derived it, L upon E, load upon effort, is called mechanical advantage. So another formula for mechanical advantage you can see here. So that it is dE upon dL, load upon effort, or the distance traveled by effort arm upon the distance traveled by load arm. This is the new formula for mechanical advantage, and this formula will make you able to understand that why do we need a condition in which mechanical advantage is less than the value 1. So let's see. So We have derived this condition that the new formula for mechanical advantage is effort distance traveled by effort arm upon distance traveled by load arm. We will utilize this relation. How? Let me tell you. It is dE by dl from the Pascal's law or the hydraulic lift principle. Let me tell you. If mechanical advantage is less than 1, what do you think? If mechanical advantage is less than 1, it means, if I put it here, it means dE upon dl would be less than 1. Or we can say dE by sending it here, dE will become less than dl. Sorry for the interruption. Now let's back to the point. So mechanical advantage we have proved it for dE by dl, and it is for when there is no loss of energy during the process. Means we are talking about 100% efficient machine. Okay. In that particular case, mechanical advantage will be mathematically equal to effort distance traveled by effort upon distance traveled by load arm. So we are talking about that particular case now, in which mechanical advantage is less than 1. So if mechanical advantage is less than 1, it means dE by dl is also less than 1, or we can say dE is less than dl. Means the load arm will travel greater distance as compared to effort arm if mechanical advantage is less than 1. Now, what does it mean actually? You may copy this also. Let's talk about this. If we want to utilize this formula, so with the help of hydraulic lift, we have derived another formula for mechanical advantage. Let's talk about this formula because it will help you for this particular condition. It will help you to understand that what is the meaning of mechanical advantage less than 1. Greater than 1 we have discussed it. Such machines are called force multiplier. And if mechanical advantage is less than 1, it means the load arm will travel greater distance as compared to effort arm. If I want to find out the speed of load arm, let's represent it by VL, small VL, and speed of effort arm. So let's represent it by VE. And we know it very well. Speed is distance upon time. So distance traveled by load arm dl upon time t for the same time. We are talking about for same time because the process is occurring simultaneously. Whenever you compress, the effort arm, the load arm simultaneously will move out. Simply for the same time t, dl by t, load arm form speed formula, effort arm's speed formula will be dE by t. So ultimately if I try to find out dE by dl from this, so you will get dE by dl just same as VE by VL. And we have proved it for mechanical advantage less than 1, dl is greater than dE. We have proved it. So we can prove it that VL will be greater than VE. Means you are moving input arm slowly, but the output arm is coming out rapidly. The speed of load arm is greater than the speed of effort arm. So it's some kind of a speed gainer. We can say that we are moving the input arm slowly, but the output arm is coming out very quickly or rapidly. So such kind of machines in which mechanical advantage is less than 1, such kind of machines are called speed multiplier. Such kind of machines are called speed multiplier. So we have proved the basic 3 conditions or the basic 3 meanings of mechanical advantage greater than 1, equal to 1, or mechanical advantage lesser than 1. So greater than 1, it will be a force multiplier. Smaller than 1, it will be a speed multiplier, speed gainer. Or if they are equal, means mechanical advantage equals to 1. So it will be some kind of balancing condition. Okay. So we have discussed this already, and now let me tell you velocity ratio, another basic or fundamental property, that is velocity ratio. And velocity ratio actually is equivalent to, velocity ratio you can understand, velocity ratio is just equivalent to this. This is the velocity ratio. So velocity ratio is just the distance traveled by effort arm upon distance traveled by load arm. It is the ratio of distance traveled by effort arm upon distance traveled by load arm. Since it's a ratio, so it will not have any unit. Same as mechanical advantage, it will not have also a unit. So velocity ratio is d by dl. Now you are getting confused about one thing, that mechanical advantage is also d by dl, velocity ratio is also d by dl. Then what is the difference between them? Let me tell you. Right now we are talking about 100% efficient or efficiency of the machine. We are imagining 100%, but it is not true. Efficiency is represented by eta, and if we talk about eta is actually output work or work output upon work input, the original formula of efficiency. Work output upon work input, and if we want to find out in percentage, we need to multiply it by 100. This is the generalized formula. So if we talk about the work done, let's talk about, and you will understand the basic difference between velocity ratio and mechanical advantage. And you may pause the video to copy this content. So let's check. So basic generalized formula or original formula of mechanical advantage was supposed to be load upon effort. We know it very well. So let's try to find out work output and work input. Work output we are representing by WA, and work input we are representing by WI. So WO is work is force into displacement. So here output force is actually being represented by load into displacement is represented by DL, the distance traveled by load R. Right, and input work is actually effort into distance traveled by effort term dE. So we can put these values. So eta would become load into load arm dL upon effort into effort term dE, or send dL and dE there on the other side. So you will get load upon effort equals to eta into dE by dL. Now you can see dE by dL originally is velocity ratio, and load upon effort originally is mechanical advantage. So we can simply say mechanical advantage is effort into velocity ratio. Now you can see, if we are talking about 100% efficient machine, so for 100% efficient machine, eta would be 1 by value or by ratio, or efficiency in percentage would be 100. So efficiency is 1 for 100% efficient machine. 100% efficiency. For 100% efficiency, eta would be 1. So at that time, mechanical advantage is mathematically equal to velocity ratio. That's why in the formula we were getting d by dl as mechanical advantage. So original relation is mechanical advantage is equal to eta into velocity ratio. So the major conclusion, for a particular machine which is not 100% efficient, for that particular machine, velocity ratio's original formula will remain same, d by dl, but mechanical advantage will get changed according to the efficiency. Means mechanical advantage is not every time equivalent to velocity ratio. It depends on eta also. Okay. So I hope these basic fundamental properties of machines are very clear for you. In the next lecture we will discuss about levers, classes of levers, and the pulley system. Okay.